On my birthday, my parents sent me a gift box. When my husband saw it, he told me not to open it. I asked him why, but when I looked closer at the package, I froze. I didn't open it. Instead, I did something else. Half an hour later, there were police at our door. I'm not someone who makes a big deal about birthdays. I don't throw parties and I don't post overly enthusiastic selfies with captions like 34 and thriving. To be honest, I often forget it's even my birthday until my husband buys me a chocolate bar and cracks a joke about being married to a mature woman. That's all the celebration I need. So when I got a call the day before my birthday and heard my mom sounding way too cheerful, I knew something wasn't right. "We sent you a little surprise," she said. "It should arrive just on time." Just on time. Like my parents were ever on time for anything that didn't revolve around my sister. I played along though. "Okay, thanks," I said. She giggled. My mom doesn't giggle. That should have been the first red flag. "It's nothing big," she added. "Just a token of our love." That was the second one. Because she doesn't say love, without immediately following it up with a reminder that I'm too sensitive. But I wanted to believe it. Even after 34 years of disappointment, some small part of me still held out hope. Maybe, just maybe they were trying. But they weren't. It was my birthday morning. Jason made me pancakes and let me drink coffee in bed while he took a work call in the other room. It was peaceful, comfortable, until the doorbell rang. A medium-sized cardboard box sat on the mat. No frills, no ribbons, no tag. Just a plain box with a printed label. Jason picked it up and brought it into the kitchen, setting it down carefully. He stared at it like it might come alive. "That's from my parents," I said. He didn't respond. Mom had mentioned the gift yesterday, so I expected this. "Don't open it," Jason said. I laughed. "What? You think it's cursed?" Jason didn't laugh. He nodded at the label. I looked closely and my heart sank. There was no handwriting anywhere, just a printed shipping tag with my name and address. The return address was a P.O. box, not even a real street address, let alone their city. I started to feel cold. Jason moved closer and tapped the box with his finger. "Do you see it?" he asked. I leaned in, and the dread hit me like an old friend. Not fear, not yet. But something deep inside me clicked into place. Something wasn't right. I didn't say a word. Neither did Jason. He took a step back and remained silent. That's when my phone rang. It was my mom. Jason glanced at the screen. I looked at him. I answered the call and put it on speaker. "Sweetie, did it arrive?" My mom asked, all cheerful again. Jason watched me. I hesitated for a moment, then lied. "Yeah, it came." I glanced at the box. I opened it. "It's beautiful. Thank you." "Oh, sweetheart," she sang. "We just wanted to remind you how much we love you. You're a girl. Don't ever forget that." My stomach dropped. My mom had never said that, not when I graduated, not when I got married, and not even when I miscarried 2 years ago. I looked at Jason. He saw the confusion in my eyes. He knew it too. Something wasn't adding up. "We thought you deserved something nice," my mom continued, her voice still sweet. "You're so strong. You always have been." Then she hung up. Jason and I didn't speak right away. The box sat there, between us, like it was waiting, watching. I hated how nice she sounded. Jason said what we were both thinking. "She only calls you sweetie when she's about to lie." I nodded. They never send gifts. Not even at Christmas. I laughed bitterly, remembering the time my parents gave my sister a Peloton and gave me a scented candle from a gas station. "I think the candle was used," Jason added, "and probably expired." We stood there for a while. I felt this overwhelming urge to throw the box out the window, maybe even set it on fire. It was a contradictory thought, but so was my family. Eventually, I sat down. Jason made tea. The box remained on the counter, untouched. We didn't open it. We didn't even touch it again. It just sat there, taking up space, saying nothing, saying everything. Then 30 minutes later, there was a knock at the door. It wasn't a neighbor. "Is this the Russo residence?" the voice asked, and I nodded, my stomach tightening as they continued. "We've received a report about a package that was delivered here. Would you mind if we came in and asked you a few questions?" I froze, the box still sitting there unopened. Its contents a mystery to me. To understand how I ended up in this situation, you have to know about my sister, Ellie. Ellie is 3 years younger than me, but the emotional weight she carries is far lighter than mine. If I'm the responsible one, she's the carefree one. If I'm the one who remembers every birthday, Ellie is the one who just can't deal with that kind of pressure. Growing up, she was always the golden child, but not in the traditional overachiever sense. More like, everyone tiptoed around her, trying not to upset her. She cried easily. That was her power. I, on the other hand, didn't cry. And that, I suppose, was my mistake. I think I was 8 when I first took the blame for something I didn't do. There was this hideous dark green ceramic vase in our hallway, probably worth a mere $12, but treated as if it were a priceless heirloom. One day, it fell and shattered, sending a loud crash through the house. Ellie stood over it, her bottom lip trembling, looking like a cartoon character. I remember walking into the hallway and knowing exactly what was coming, as if it was a reflex. When Mom came running in and started yelling, Ellie pointed at me without hesitation. "Riso did it," she said coldly, without even a glance in my direction. It was pure betrayal. I hadn't even touched the vase, let alone walked past it. But I said nothing. Because I was the older one. Because she was crying. Because I knew how this would play out. Mom looked at me with disappointment, like I was a puzzle she couldn't solve. "Well, you're the older sister. You should have been watching her." I was sent to my room, while Ellie got a popsicle. That was the end of it. There was another time when I was 12. Ellie borrowed my favorite sweater, wore it to school, and somehow managed to get paint on it during some arts and crafts session. When she got home, she blamed me for not telling her how special it was. "Why didn't you hide it better, Riso? You know she's still learning boundaries," Mom said, nodding as though that explanation made sense. That sweater had been a gift from my grandmother. Ellie never apologized. She said I was overreacting. Then she cried. Then she got ice cream. And I learned again that the truth didn't matter. Tears were what got you comfort. By the time we were adults, we weren't really sisters anymore. We were just two people who grew up under the same roof, making small talk to keep the peace when our parents were around. Ellie never went to college. Instead, she took a yoga certification, sold essential oils for a few months, and started a spiritual art Instagram that mostly consisted of reposted Etsy screenshots and photos of her holding coffee mugs on beaches. Despite her constant failures, everything seemed to just fall into place for her. My parents called it evolution. "She's finding her way," they'd say. "She has such a creative soul. Not everyone fits the mold, Riso." Which was funny, because I never wanted Ellie to fit the mold. I just wanted her to pay back the $600 she borrowed from me to launch her ill-fated bath bomb business. But I never said that. Instead, I kept my distance, emotionally safe, watching as she failed upwards, while my parents cheered her on from the sidelines. Then, about a year ago, I got a call from Mom. She wanted to take me to lunch. "Just you and me?" I asked, surprised. She made it sound like a treat, like I should be grateful for the chance. We met at a farm-to-table restaurant that she always pretended to love, but secretly called overpriced. When I walked in, Ellie was already there, sipping on a kale smoothie, looking like a bargain bin lifestyle blogger. They were too friendly, too cozy with each other. We spent the afternoon making small talk, but something about the way they acted together felt off, like they were trying too hard to pretend everything was normal. Ellie approached me with an unusual request. She asked if she could use my name and address for a business account related to an art project she was working on. She assured me it wasn't anything shady, just a temporary situation since she was between leases, and it would be more convenient this way. I'd heard that word before, stable, and to me, it always meant the same thing: predictable, dull, and something to blame. My mother quickly added her 2 cents, suggesting it made sense since I was good with paperwork, and it would only be for a short time. I didn't get angry though. There wasn't even a pause before I responded. I simply said no, quiet and firm. Ellie's reaction was quick too, her smile too forced, too bright. "That's okay," she said, but I could feel the coolness settle in after that. The next thing I knew, invitations for family events were lost in the mail, And my father had sent an email about not supporting family initiatives. Ellie unfollowed me on social media, though I didn't even notice until a friend mentioned it. I told myself it didn't matter, but a part of me couldn't help but feel hurt. I thought they would eventually come around, that they would respect my boundaries and understand that saying no didn't make me the bad guy. But no, they just moved on without me. At first, I told myself it was fine. Peace was better than conflict. I had built a quiet life, a calm home with a loving husband, no more chaos, no more yelling, no more things broken in anger. It felt like a relief, but when the package showed up on my birthday, I knew something was wrong. The moment it arrived, I recognized the weight of it. Jason noticed it too. He tapped the edge of the box, asking if I saw what he saw. My heart skipped a beat when I looked closer. It wasn't just the label. The box, the font, the plastic wrap, the alignment of the barcode, all of it was eerily familiar. It was a scene I'd witnessed before, almost a year ago when Ellie and I had stopped by her apartment to return some dishes. I remembered the way she had her place filled with packing materials, how the hallway was a mess of boxes. I remembered the strictness with which she'd warned me not to touch anything. And here I was now, looking at the same kind of box, sealed, addressed to me. It wasn't a gift. It wasn't a coincidence. It was deliberate. The box wasn't repurposed, and it wasn't recycled. It came straight from the supplier that Ellie had been so secretive about. I didn't speak. I didn't know how. The feeling of betrayal was overwhelming. Then of course came the call. My mother, her voice syrupy and sweet, asked if I had received the little gift they sent. I told her I had and that it was beautiful, though I hadn't opened it. Jason stood beside me, arms crossed, as I recorded the conversation. Not out of instinct or paranoia, but because by now, I knew exactly what this was. It wasn't a gift. It was a problem they had already laid at my doorstep. Less than 30 minutes later, there was a knock on the door. I opened it to find a police officer standing there, calm and professional. He asked if I was Russo, and when I nodded, he explained they had received a report about a suspicious package sent to this address. Would it be all right if they took a look? Jason moved into view behind me as I stepped aside, allowing the officer inside. I pointed to the box on the counter. "That's the one," I said, my voice almost detached. The officer examined the box carefully, as if it might somehow come alive. His partner stood behind him, scanning the kitchen, as though expecting more. He asked, "It's addressed to you?" I nodded. "A birthday gift from my parents," I said. "Have you opened it?" he asked. "No," I answered quietly. And that was the moment I realized there was no going back. They carefully followed procedure. Gloves on, box cutters at the ready. Every step was methodical. As the flap of the box peeled open with a dry sound, the contents were revealed. Bubble wrap, decorative knickknacks, the sort of overpriced trinkets that people buy to seem cultured, some small figurines, a certificate of authenticity, and a shipping slip with my name on it. One officer scanned a QR code on a piece, and they exchanged a look. "Do you know what these are?" the first officer asked. "They look like art," I replied. "Where did they come from?" "I told you," I said. "My parents sent it as a gift. Do you have proof of that?" I pulled up the voice memo and played it, my mother's voice bright but hollow. "Did you get our little gift? We just wanted to show you how much we love you. You're our girl." I stopped the recording there. It was enough. The officer nodded. "We're going to take this with us. You're not being charged right now, but this shipment matches materials in an ongoing investigation." I forced a tight smile. "No problem." They packed it back up, as if it were hazardous material, and left with Jason following behind them. I sat at the kitchen table. My coffee was still warm, and the feeling of normalcy seemed almost offensive, like the universe mocking me. 3 hours later, my phone rang. I didn't bother checking the number. I knew who it was. I answered, and my mother's voice, no longer soft, came through. "How could you?" I didn't respond. "You told the police it was Ellie's," she accused. "You could have kept quiet. You could have said it was a mistake." "I told them who sent it," I said flatly. "You know what this means for her." "Yes, I do." "You could have just said nothing. Then my house would have been used for something illegal, and I'd be the fool for opening it." Silence followed. My father's voice joined in. Calm, measured. We thought they'd just seize it and leave. We didn't think they'd trace it back this far. But you thought they'd trace it to me, I replied. You're stronger, he said. You've always been stronger. Ellie's not built for this. That's always been the reason, hasn't it? I shot back. I'm the one who takes the heat. My mother responded. You've always been the cold one. And now look what you've done. I didn't answer. I hung up. Jason came back in, tea in hand. He sat down across from me, setting one cup in front of me. He didn't ask a thing. I stared at the counter. The spot where the box had been felt like a wound. They really thought I'd open it, I said. Jason met my gaze. They really did. And that was it. A week later, the detective called again. I was sitting with a bowl of cereal. Jason just gone to work, sunlight pouring in. Ro, do you have a minute? I rolled my eyes. For what? Why not add more chaos before breakfast? We need to confirm something. Your name shows up on several documents tied to your sister's business. Ever registered a business under your name? No. Listed yourself as a co-owner or manager for a company involved in art sales or supply chains? I couldn't help it, I laughed. I once tried to sell a bookshelf on Facebook Marketplace. That's as far as my business ventures go. He didn't laugh. There's a digital signature filed under your name and a business email attached to a suspended account. Let me guess, resower73@catchyartmail.com. Of course, I muttered. Would you mind looking at the digital signature? He sent it over. 3 seconds to confirm what I already knew. It wasn't mine. Sure, the name was mine, but the handwriting wasn't. It was someone else's attempt at mimicking me. He asked if I recognized the email. No, I replied. Could your sister or parents have access to your old documents? I paused. Yes. Years ago. Tax stuff, ID copies. I used to trust them. That was the last time I said that. Used to and everything. He walked me through what they had found. A business license filed under my name, my old address as the return center, contracts, supplier links, even a fake email account pretending to be me. You've technically been listed as a silent partner for over a year, he said. Of course I have, I muttered. He asked if I would provide a written statement confirming that I never authorized it. I said yes, and that afternoon, I sent over a statement along with a copy of my actual signature for comparison. He thanked me and said they'd follow up if needed. After that, nothing, no calls, no questions. The world felt like it was buffering, and I didn't know what was happening behind the scenes, or if anything was happening at all. Then everything moved at once. Ellie was charged with wire fraud, identity theft, business fraud, and violations of import-export laws. She pled out. 2 years probation, a fine and no business license for the foreseeable future. My parents were charged with conspiracy and aiding and abetting. They pled guilty to suspended sentences, fines, community service, and their names in public records. No more hiding behind, we're just parents. I didn't go to the hearing. I didn't need to see Ellie's tears or my mother's hand squeezing hers like she was the one on trial. I read the transcript though. My name was mentioned 12 times. But there was no apology. Then the surprise, my parents wanted to meet. Just the two of them. A peace talk. Over burnt coffee. I showed up late. Ordered the most overpriced pastry on the menu just to make a point. They were already seated. My mother tried to find the expression that would make me feel guilty. I didn't sit right away. We didn't know she used your name, my mother said. You didn't ask either. I shot back. She said you'd open the package. My father added, clearing his throat. She also said you'd be dumb enough to open it, I countered. Then came their justification, polished and rehearsed. You're stronger. You don't have kids, you'd bounce back. So, you offered me up because I don't have anyone depending on me? Because you decided my life was easier to lose. That's not what we meant, my mother started. Yeah, that's exactly what you meant. I was done. I stood up and left. My coffee was half full, but I didn't take it. I hope you enjoy your community service, I said as I walked out. Maybe you'll finally learn what real work looks like. That night, I blocked them from everything. Deleted every contact, cleared all backups, and erased their names from anything that had an emergency contact listed. Gone. The next morning, Jason brought me coffee. We sat together in the kitchen, quiet sunlight filling the space like it belonged to us. "You okay?" he asked. I sipped the coffee. "I'm done." He didn't ask and I didn't explain. I didn't need to.